Now let's talk about fear for a moment. What would you do with your life if you had no more fear? Now I'm not talking about like false bravado or running around doing crazy stuff. But if you had no more fear, none whatsoever, if your feeling was just total rock solid courageousness and certainty, a feeling of a real sense of safety and security deep within, what would you do with your life? Would there be anything that could hold you back from living the life of your dreams? And see, this is the big stopper that we all have. And ultimately, all of our fear really boils down to a very core sense of fear of dying. And it's so prevalent that every single one of our feelings, every last one of them, is motivated by that fear of dying. And Lester had pointed that out when he said that all of our feelings, not just the fear that is fight or flight, but all of our feelings, we put in as a pro-survival feeling. Every last one of them. Now, it may sound a little bit strange, but examine it. Now, take a situation where you're attracted to somebody and you want to ask them out, but you have fear about it, right? Fear of rejection. Oh, they might say no. So you don't even ask them out because of that fear of rejection. Now, what's so bad about somebody saying no? What's so horrible about that? But a lot of us, I don't know whether this stops you or not, but this stops a lot of people from stepping out and asking a person. So why is that fear of rejection so strong? Well, examine it. Well, if somebody rejects me, what will happen? Well, maybe that means that I'm no good. And what will happen if I'm no good? Well, nobody will like me, and no one will hang around me. And what will happen if that happens? Well, I have to just hang around being alone, and I won't like myself. And what will happen if that happens? Well, I'll just kill myself or I'll wither away and die. Or take a look at the work that you do, your 9-to-5 job. And if I don't do that, what will happen? Well, I won't make any money. And what will happen if I don't make any money? Well, then I won't be able to pay for my house. I won't be able to put food on the table. And what will happen if that happens? I'll be out on the street. And I'll be cold and I'll waste away and I'll die. So this is something that you could play with. Play with this and look at all of your motivations. And what will happen if you don't do that? Or what will happen if you don't get that? Or what will happen if this doesn't happen? And if you look closely enough, you'll see that all of it traces right back to that fear of dying. And it's that core fear that gets us so crazy, running around doing crazy things, like, negative things, like beating ourselves up, worrying, picking fights with people, or just going on and on and on in our mind, chewing over something. I got to figure this out, or else I'm going to die. It may not be those exact words in your head, but when you really examine it, that's the root motivation behind all of this nonsense that we do. So what if you took that out? What if you had no fear of dying? Would you have any noise in your head? Would you have any doubts? Would you hold yourself back? No. And again, I'm not talking about going around doing stupid stuff, but with that fear of dying out of the way, wouldn't you be more alive, more true to yourself, and more present in the moment, totally engaged with now? Now, what would it be worth to you to live like that all the time? Now, it is possible, but you gotta let go of all of your fear. And you got a lot of it. You're feeling it all the time. Sometimes this fear is really obvious. We're just sitting gripped by fear sometimes. Maybe sometimes something happens or something could happen, and it's got us scared. Or it could be just a subtle feeling in the background of our consciousness. Just like, just this negative feeling. We can't put our finger on it, but it's there. Now, that's your feeling. And if it's worth it to you to really be alive and step out and live life fearlessly, then you have to take responsibility for your feelings and let all of that fear go. And you can. Now think about something that you're afraid of right now. Think about something that you wouldn't like to happen to you. Now measure yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being the most fearful, 0 being the least fearful. When you think about this. And whatever number that you're at. See, most of the time, we don't like our fear. And we want to hide from it. So basically, we say no. So right now, whether you're at a 1 or at a 10, chances are you've been saying no to that fear. And notice what you get when you say no to that fear. You get to keep it. You hang on to that fear. It doesn't go anywhere when you say no to it. So, let's do something completely different than saying no. Right now, look at that fear that you have. When you think about that thing that you don't want to have happen, and whether it's a 1 or a 10, could you say yes to that fear? And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to it even more? And look at that fear and say, I love you, fear. I love you. Now see, when you look at it and just say, I love you, that's taking responsibility. That's acknowledging. It's my feeling. And instead of pouring negativity into something that I own, I'm going to put love into it. Since I'm the owner, I created the thing. So could you just say love, or could you just say, I love you to that fear? And just say, I love you, fear. I love you. I really, really love you. I love you unconditionally. I love you with all of my heart. I absolutely love you. I love you if you stay. I love you if you leave. I love you either way. And notice how you feel now. See if you feel lighter. And see if you move down on that scale of 0 to 10. If you're feeling less fearful now. That's the power of love. That's the power of you stepping up and taking responsibility. And seeing that this feeling of fear is just a feeling. Now look right at that feeling and say, I love you to it. I love you. I really, really love you. I love you with all of my heart. I just love you. And notice how you feel now. See if you feel more alive, lighter, happier. All right, so if you got a bunch of fear in you, and you're the owner of this fear, after all, this feeling that you have, does it belong to anybody else but you? It's yours. You're the owner. So bring it up. Invite up this fear that you have. Now, when you think about that situation, does that fear help you deal with the situation? Does it help you in any way whatsoever? No. It's actually pulling towards you what you don't want. Just like a deer caught in the headlights. You're going to get run over by that thing when you're in fear. But it's your fear. So invite it up now. So you've got some momentum. Call up that fear. Just allow it to arise. And just hand that fear over to beingness. Beingness is just the spaciousness of this moment. All that is. And it's a quiet place. And it's right here, right now. It's all around you. And it's a loving and has unlimited positivity. It's unlimited. So just hand your feeling over to beingness. This feeling of fear, just hand it all over to beingness now. And even more. And even more. Just open up and let that fear go. Just allow it to pass through. And surrender it over to beingness. And even more. And let it go even more. And even more. And even more. And just watch it leave. Just watch it evaporate into this loving space that is now. And surrender it over to this loving space of now, even more. And even more. And just let it go. Just like if you're gripping something, you just let it go. And you've been gripping your fear long enough. So right now, just let it go. And call up some more fear. See, you can pull up some more. Now, like a ship that has an anchor that keeps it in place, when that ship wants to sail off, what does it do? It pulls up the anchor. So it's no longer stuck in one place. And you can pull up this fear the same way. And how a ship pulls up the anchor out of the water? Link by link. And it keeps pulling it up, link by link, until the whole anchor is out of the water. And you could do the same thing with the fear now. So call up some more fear. And as it comes up, just say yes to it. And open up and just let it come on out. Surrender it over to beingness now. And surrender it over to beingness even more. And even more. And even more. And invite up some more. Just allow it to arise. Let it come up. And let it go even more. And even more. And notice how you feel now. See if you feel even lighter. And see if you feel more secure, more confident in yourself. And this is the greatest experience when you experience this. Because this shows you that everything that you're looking for, all the confidence, all the security, all the happiness, all the love, it's right inside of you. It's inside of you right now, and it's always has been inside of you, and it always will be inside of you. You don't need to do anything to be positive. You don't need to pump yourself up to be courageous. You don't need to think of courageous things to be fearless. Just let the fear go, and you just stumble into your natural state, like you are now. Now you can keep doing this, and just keep pulling up this fear. And just like that ship, keep pulling it up until the whole anchor is out of the water. But you have to take responsibility. And if it's really worth it to you to live a life where you have no limitation, no holdback, and if it's worth it to you to live a life where you're really clear and focused, and you could just accomplish things like that because you have no fear that you have to fight through. You just do it, and it's effortless. And then if you'd like to have more abundance and good things in your life because you're not afraid to reach out for them, if you'd like to live like that and have the life that you'd like to experience, then join us on the 7-day Final Step Retreat. Because that whole retreat is all about eliminating all of your fear, all of it. And what we're doing is we're really going to that core fear, that fear of dying. We're going to start pulling that apart on day 1. And as we go through these 7 days, we're going to unload these deepest fears so that there is no weights that are holding you down. And you see yourself as you really are, your unlimited self, and you know it. And you step forward and you live life like that. So if you're ready to do that, then join us. Click the link below, sign up for the Final Step Retreat, and start a whole new chapter of your life that is totally courageous